Hello everyone, in today's video I'll be doing a full review of the Airfoil Labs Kingair350 for Xplane12. Jumping in the cockpit here, the first impressions of it is it looks quite nice. It's actually modelled quite nice. Heaps of detail. Most of the buttons work, like you can see over here, even these buttons work. Believe everything down there works. Fuel panel works. Air conditioning works. Down here, I guess you call this kind of your electrical / autopilot manual. Now, this plane does come with an FMS on. I believe it's on this version. You get two versions of it. You get this standardized one, the Kingair350, and you get this other Kingair350 with the two Garmin 530 GPS built into it. I opt in to use that than the FMS. One of the things I have noticed is that the circuit breakers are not modelled. Bit sad, but most planes in Xplane don't have the circuit breaker modelled. Overhead looks quite nice, you can see, but everything works. If I just turn on the clickable areas, as you can see, there's heaps of clickable areas. Like you can click on the different seats, as you can see. You can swap between the pilot and the co-pilot. You can open the booklet up. You can also put these control locks in it as well. You can add and remove them. Turn it back off. Before I move on to the rest of it, I'll also show you that it comes with a built-in manual, kind of checklist thingamajiggy. So you can either open it by clicking down here, or if you bring your mouse and you bring it to the right bottom side of your screen, you can click this blue icon, and that opens up, and it's got, you know, your handbook, it's got all the limits of the aircraft, it's got your checklist, so it's got your checklist here, and you can also calculate your performance as well, so you can set your markers for your speed, as you can see, once you've entered everything in. Over here on the bottom left, you've got like a camera area, so you can quick look over to the different things in the cockpit. If you then click on the camera icon again, it actually goes to the outside and the inside of the plane, so you know, co-pilot, pilot, passenger, 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 passenger. You got your outside, you got your tail, so you can look at the tail light. You got your right hand wing. When you can hook up a GPU, a ground power system, and you can control it by using this camera, which I'll show you in a bit. You can go to your wing, your engine, your front wheel. I'll show you the external more in depth later. Just showing you different camera views. Got them. So you can click back here and it'll take us back into the cockpit. Here you can load and save a flight situation. Here you can got your general settings, so you can customize it to your liking. Here you can set your failures up, so you can fix your scenarios, you can start a scenario, you can stop a scenario, and so on. Here's your fuel and balance, so you can adjust all that through here if you want. You can also, if you just hover over it, it's a bit, no, it's because I've got it paused, that's why. So if you hover over it here, you see you can just do it that way. Here, this is basically, if I go to external view, these different buttons, so you can connect your ground power unit that I was talking about earlier. You can add a fuel truck in. You can add your remove before flight stuff, wheel chocks, tie downs. You can open up the rear door. You can also add stairs to get on the wing so you can actually fuel the plane, which I'll show you in a minute. Here, basically you can bring up your 2D panels, which can be quite helpful. This last one here, you can basically set it to different scenarios. You can cold and dark, before start, before taxi, and before takeoff. So those are your 4 different scenarios you can set. The only problem I have with this panel here is it's very delayed, kind of. It's like if I bring my mouse over, it takes about probably a second to half a second pop up. Alright, now we'll take a look at the external and walk around mode for the aircraft. So if you go into your settings, keyboard, and you look up walk arounds, see Kingair350, you can set keybinds for walk around. I've set it as WSAND. So by pressing those keys, I can actually walk around. I can walk to different parts of the aircraft. So if I bring those stairs back, I can climb up the stairs and I can open the fuel cap and I can fuel the plane up this way, which is quite handy. You can also, open up the engine bay on both sides. If you want to, you can go around, you can remove before flight stuff by hand. Come over here. You can open up this engine bay. You got another fuel thing over here. The same on both wings, by the way. And come down here. All the green zones are the areas you can actually click, so you can remove the chocks and place the chocks. Now if I come over here and I actually click on this green little area on the wheel, I can add a tow, and then if I click the handle here, I can actually tow the plane around. Only thing is, you gotta take sure you have the parking brake off and the chocks are removed, otherwise it won't work. And it's the same on this side. You can remove your stuff, open and close the engines, but just like real life, set up the plane, remove the chocks, place the chocks. Now, if I go over to my camera view and I go over to this view here, and I place the ground power unit, I can actually, by pressing this green button, I can turn it off. And then I can walk over here and I can actually disconnect it from the wing. And if you want to do it realistically like that, you can do it like that. Or if you want to do it not so realistic and you want to save time, you can just press it like that to unplug and remove it. So the walk around mode's quite actually neat. And as you can see, the exterior of the aircraft does not lack detail, and it's modelled very, very well. Like, as you can see, all the tie downs, removed before flight, rivets and that are all added. This is a custom livery that I made. And if we come over to actually the back of the wing, we can open up a baggage area. So you can put baggage in here if you wanted to. And that's on both wings. The wing, so the right hand wing is the exact same of the left wing, and the left wing is the exact same of the right wing. Now you can see you can open up the door, external door, by clicking it, or you can open and close it using this menu. Now you can actually walk in here. It's a bit buggy, but it does it quite well. So I can just TP here, I can open up this door and you got a cargo area which you can put more cargo. You can turn, there's a light in there which you can turn on and off if you have the battery on. The cabin is also very nicely textured. Not really any lack of detail, and if you actually are wondering, I'm running this very well. Like, I don't have any performance issues with this. I probably get around 60 frames per second using this, which is standard for Xplane, and I don't have a very good computer as well. I've just got a real gaming laptop. If you're interested, this is how I set my graphics up. I've fine-tuned them. And yeah, so very nice to have that walk around mode. And as you can see, you can actually use it in the external as well. So you can walk around in the cabin or walk around outside and, you know, remove before flights, tie downs and refueled aircraft and stuff like that. So yeah, that's a little preview of the internal and external, as well as the walk around mode. Yeah, as you see, they haven't really missed any areas. They've textured it quite well, and they've taken sure to add detail, and they've actually optimized it very well. So, like I said, not really any performance hits. I actually get more performance issues with the custom with my custom scenery that I make. So yeah, now I guess I'm gonna plan a flight. I'll do that, and we'll come back. We'll do a startup, taxi out, take off. We'll do a quick flight, shoot some approaches into the airport, land, do a shutdown, and that'll be it. Alright guys, so the weather's a bit better now, as you can see. It's not as rainy and the clouds have gone up a bit and not as low, so it's better visibility. I've figured out the flight plan, and I've entered the flight plan into the Garmin 530, so that's all ready to go. I'll set up all the altitude and autopilot systems once we get set up. But now it's time to start up the Kingair. Some of the things I'm going to be monitoring when I'm actually starting up the engine is I'm going to be monitoring the dials over here. So basically, I want to take sure that basically the ITT doesn't go past the red line. The torque shouldn't go past the red one. Same with the RPM. Take sure everything's smooth and going well. Alright, so we'll start our pre-flight checklist. So first of all, we want to remove before flight. Then we want to remove all the tie downs. Then the wheel chocks. Then we want to close the rear door. And then we've connected the GPU. We can actually just go over should be starting him up. We can actually check by also going up here. You can see we've got external power. Yeah, sometimes the light will come on down here, but it hasn't. So, GPU is connected, cockpit control locks are removed. As you can see, the control locks are indeed removed and the controls move freely. Parking brake is set. tie downs and move chocks are gone. Weight and performance. For takeoff, we're going to be using a runway 21, which is this runway. It's about 2,000 meters, which equals, I believe, about 6,000 feet. So go down here, 6,000 feet, heading of 210 degrees. Safety margin 10%, flaps on approach, bleed air and air conditioning on, engine anti-ice is on, set markers. So that's all set up. We want to take sure, if we open up this, add the respawn back in, that's why everything's defaulted back to how it was. The door is shut and locked, which is what we want. We want to slave the pilot gyro, slave that. Then we want to take sure the throttle is on 0, the feather for left and right are full forward, and the condition levers are on cutoff, which they are. Oxygen, we want to take sure the left one is up and the right hand one is down, which indeed it is. Now we can turn the external power on, open this up, turn the battery on, see everything comes to life. Turn the beacon and nav lights on, they're on. Engine anti-ice, that's on. Pitch trim on, rudder boost is on rudder boost. Co-pilot gyro should be slaved. Fasten the seatbelt sign, that's on. And that's our pre-flight. So now we can start the engine up. Before we start the engine up, I do want to mention something. I'm using a custom checklist. You can use the checklist that is included in the download. Please do note that takes longer to do. I think it's like 20-minute checklist, something like that, because it has all the pre-flight walk-arounds and everything, takes all the circuit breakers are in, has every little detail, whereas this one that I'm using right now, it's much simpler, it goes faster, and it basically starts you up the exact same. There's really no difference apart from there's not that many pre-flight stuff you have to do. Alright, now we want to take sure the left, because we're going to be starting the left engine first, take sure the left engine area is clear, there's no debris or people near it, which there isn't. Take sure our lights are on. Another thing you can also do is take sure the outside lights are on, which I believe they are working. Yep, they look like they are. Turn the strobe light on. I found that the Kingair lights are a bit hard to see, but as you can see they are working. That tail one is working. You can see it's just hard to see. You don't necessarily need strobe, as you can see, that's all beacon. If we go over here, it says strobe is only to really be used at night time, so we're not going to turn that on. So left engine area is clear, everything is in the right spot. We're going to go down here, take sure our inverters are off, generators are off, auto starts off and feather is off. And then we're going to do ignition and engine start left switch. Engine is spinning, monitor gauges. Once the N1/RPM hits 12, we're going to put the condition lever onto low idle. Which is not starting good. Now I'm going to monitor the instruments, see the ITT. Sometimes it will go above the red line, that's okay, as long as it does not stay above the red line. If it does, then you have to follow the appropriate checklist. Left engine has started up. Seems all to be working. So we are going to now we'll look at Okay, turn the starting switch off. Turn external power off. Disconnect the GPU. Left generator switch will turn on. Reset. Let go. Left generator is now on. Then we're going to put the condition lever to high idle. And now we're using engine power. Go up here. As you can see, it's generating power. So monitor this. It's all going good. So now we're going to do the exact same for the right. Right engine start switch on. Should take one thing I didn't do was take sure that the engine area is clear. You need to do it for each engine. Okay, put it onto low idle. I'm keeping an eye on the engine as well as the instruments. Everything's in the green. Now I'm going to run through the rest of the checklist, which involves turning off the starter, resetting the right hand generator, then reset the left hand generator, and then bringing back the condition lever to low idle. I'm not going to do a voiceover for that. I'm just going to do it so you can actually hear the engine itself. Okay, there we go. Now our after start checklist, turn our inverters on. Inverters on. Avionics master switch on. Turn our EFIS power switches on. Then you can switch, Now what you're going to do is you're going to set up your transponder and all your communication. Transponder, I'm going to turn it on to 1, 2, there we go. I'm not on VATSIM, so I don't need it, but I'll set it up like I am on VATSIM. So you can go through, you can set everything up. I don't need to, but I'm just doing it to show you guys. Now what I'm also going to do, just while I'm on the ground, is I'm going to set up my stuff for the ILS landing. Usually you wouldn't do this on the ground, but I've decided that I'm going to do it. So it's 108.5. Let me just double check that. Yep, that's correct. Switch that. Here we go. Now I'm going to set this to VLOC mode, and I need to set the course to 212 degrees. I'll go down here. It's a bit hard, so you're just going to kind of move your camera around. Two, 1, 2. There we go. That's the course setup. I also do it to this one over here. So do that. So that basically I use that because I'm going to have this side on GPS mode and then this side on the iOS mode, so it will basically tell me when I've intercepted the localizer, then I can switch this over to VLOC mode. Alright, with that done, I've set my flight plan up, so I don't need to do that. Set our altitude, which will be 4,300. So that's what I've decided to do today. Down here you can also set up, you can if you want to. I don't know if it actually, it looks like it does work. I personally don't set it up. I've never had an issue of not setting it up. With that set up, we can set our cockpit lights up, which I don't really need to because it's daytime and I'm happy with how it is right now. Put our environmental onto auto. window defog as required. We don't really need that. Light controls, we're going to check that they're all running smooth, which they are. Transponder set, these speeds are set, fuel quantity check. So we've got about 4 hours of fuel in there. Now, set these to environmental off. And then, it's not really included in the checklist here, but I turn my auto ignition on. Feather on as well. So that does say fail. I found that if I leave it on environmental off, that will always say fail. So I usually put that to open for that, and I just leave that like that for the flight. Now you'll see it does say pitch trim off. That's because we need to recycle our pitch trim, so we'll turn it off, then it on again. And as you can see, that's gone off, and now we can set it for takeoff trim. Set flaps to hard approach. So you've got really no any lights down there that don't need to be on, so that's all correct. There's no warnings or anything, and everything that's on should be on. Turn our taxi lights on. That is on. Just gonna go double check everything. Now what I'm also gonna do is I'm gonna set this to a heading of 21 degrees, just in case. Line it up the course. There we go. And then down here I'm gonna put nav mode, and I'm also gonna put it onto climb. So that's all set, everything is set up and working. Put that to GPS mode. As you can see, that's all working. We do have a VOR warning there, but that's not really a big deal. Refresh this. Now I'm going to set this to, I guess you'd call it, I believe it's called HPA. Set that, then we'll change to QNH. The QNH here, I'm just pulling up my weather chart here for Nara Airport. QNH is 1011. So 1011. We've got hardly any wind, so we're going to taxi up to runway 21. We're going to take off on that runway because that's what we got programmed in. So that's all ready, and we're ready for taxi. Take sure we keep that on low idle. And I'm going to do my engine run up once I get up there. So yeah, let's taxi out. Okay, so we're going to release the brakes here. Parking brake release. Oh, big problem. Yeah. My rudder pedal was just disconnected there for a second. The Kingair is very nice plane to taxi. So I'm just using my brakes to control the speed of it. Now my game might lag just a tiny bit, and that's only because I've got OBS open. And that the game's trying to render in all this grass. So here, left and right, so we'll go left here. We'll taxi up here. Now what we will do is we'll actually taxi onto the runway, and we'll do a backtrack, just because it's a bit shorter to do it that way than taxiing around the whole airport. Now I believe you can actually set your your throttle levers to a taxi mode. Basically you bring them back into a taxi mode, which you can use. I personally don't use that, I just leave them as is. So yeah, reverse and ground fine. So you use the taxi, I'm pretty sure. I'm not a Kingair real life pilot, so I'm just self-taught in sim, so I might get some stuff wrong. Here, see, we'll have a bit of a crosswind for our departure. It won't be too bad. Theory, I probably should take off another runway. Clear left, clear right. But I'm just gonna, it's a bit easier to do this runway for now. The Kingair handles winds fine. Also, what we're gonna do is we're gonna turn our pilot, pitot heats on. Forgot to do that. And our window de-icing on. Now the Kingair doesn't handle icing the best, so if you're ever flying into icing, take sure you got icing on max, because as soon as it builds up on the wings, the Kingair just drops like a brick. I could turn around right now and take off from here, but I'm not going to risk it because the runway, as you can see, is wet. Because this airport actually got 150 millimeters of rain overnight, which in sim it's not really calculated, so it's not as wet as it is in real life. Because in real life at the moment, the actual runway has water still on it and standing on it, so the runway is currently closed down to all fixed wing aircraft. But in the simulator we can still take off. We're just going to be mindful it's going to be a bit slippery. Now I'm not going to taxi completely to the end, just to save time. I'm just going to taxi off onto this taxiway here and use that. This Kingair can turn around very easily. If you don't know, they actually, in Australia, they use the Kingair as an air ambulance and actually land it on highways out and out back. So it's very good at doing stuff like that. So use a bit of throttle to get moving there. It's a bit of this bit kind of slopes up a bit. It's like my nose wheel might have just got caught there for a minute. Alright, we're going to put in a minute. I'm not going to talk while I'm doing it, just so you can actually listen to it, but I'm going to put the condition levels to full forward. You'll hear the propellers spin up and it creates quite a nice effect. So we'll do that now. Alright, so now we want to turn our prop sync on. Lead air valves onto open, which they already are. Auto feather arm. And auto ignition arm. Engine anti-ice on. Stereo lights are on. I will just turn on the strobe for now. You can set up your weather radar and that. Lead air valves open. Take sure our pitch and that. So pitch trim is all set up on that. Then we're going to hold the brakes here. We're going to do a run up. Okay, both stabilised out pretty well, so I'm happy with that. I brought them up to about 40. I was quite happy with it. So now we're ready for takeoff. As you can see, if we look all the way down there, we do have a bit of crosswinds. Be fine. Nav mode on, climb mode on. Once we get airborne, I'll turn on the autopilot and hopefully it works. Alright, I'm not going to talk through the takeoff. I'm just going to do my own things and you guys can listen and watch. Now, I don't like redlining it, so I actually usually bring it just a tiny bit back to about 85, 90 kind of. And I'll just sit it on that 90% there. About 95 should do it for this takeoff. And we're let go of the brakes.
Auto feather lights on. Airspeed alive. 60 knots. V1. Rotate. V2. Positive rate. Gear up. Attitudes checked. Gear indicates up. Flaps up.
Bring the flaps up there, and we'll start turning.
Flaps indicates up.
And then we'll turn autopilot on. Keep bringing the throttle just a tiny bit off. Now I'm trying to keep the speed just about 180-ish, 160. If we look down here in our performance, we go all the way back to page 1. Best two-engine rate of climb is 140 knots. So you can see this is following the route that I put in. So I'm currently heading to Goulburn Airport. Then I'll head to Wollongong, Abas, and then I'll do the approach in. Okay, we're going to start bringing our power levels back a bit. If you ever hear this alarm, that basically means that you're overspeeding. And if you ever hear this alarm, you're stalling out. And then that alarm there, that's your landing gear alarm. And trust me, I've heard the overspeed alarm in the Kingair several times before during climb. It will climb out very good in the right weather. So now I'm just going to make my way to Goulburn and I'll see you when we get there. Alright guys, as you can see we're about a minute and 50 seconds from reaching our next waypoint, which is Goulburn Airport, which we can already see that's it down there. Now so far it's been a good flight. I'm cruising about 140-ish knots. I got heaps of turbulence off the mountains and these are all storm clouds above us, that's why I don't want to go too high up. So as you can see, it's going to throw us a bit of a U-ey here. It's about a minute out. from that happening. Haven't really got much to talk about. Once we turn around and start heading to our next waypoint, I'll talk about some more stuff with it. You can see here it's starting our turn now. The autopilot goes for about 20-degree turns, mainly 10-degree turns at times. Let's see. Now, if you are wondering, if you really want to, you can take the Kingair up to like 35,000 feet for longer flights. For this flight, I actually opted to go a bit low, mainly because I didn't want to have to go through the storm clouds, and it's only a short flight, it's about a 10-minute flight or so. I mainly just did it this way. I was going to take off and head straight up to Wollongong to do the ILS in, but I wanted to show the more systems on it, just have a bit of a longer flight. It was just the easiest way to do it. You will see that here I accidentally picked up my plane and teleported it, which is the thing I hate about Xplane, is that when you go on the map, if you click on your plane, you can actually move it around, and it's very easy to accidentally open up the map and move your mouse and teleport the plane, which gets annoying at times. So if you have Xplane and you're doing a long flight, don't open up this map like I do. See, now I'm heading directly to Wollongong. Got about 11 minutes until I reach the destination. So things I want to talk about is flying the ILS approach with the Kingair can get a bit difficult. The autopilot on this is old, so it's not like a 737 or anything. It doesn't have any fancy systems. That's why I set up two sides of the ILS whenever I'm doing ILS landings, just because it makes it a bit easier. But generally on approach, what you do is, or what I do is I set this on GPS mode, and this will fly me to approach area. This side, it's on localizer 2, and once I see that picks up the localizer and the glide slope, I tune this to the localizer, and I'll set approach mode on the autopilot panel. The autopilot panel goes off the pilot's instruments, doesn't go off the co-pilot's instruments. I don't believe there's a way to actually change that. May be wrong though, probably can change it somewhere on the dashboard here. Consider that you've got Nav2, FMS, GPS, FMS. So the airport which we just departed from is a bit tricky. It's because of the mountains here. But basically, I believe it's down in there, just past those mountains there in the flat plain, just near the coast. Got a nice little town down there. Not sure what town that is. So I'll give you a walk through the cabin here. So you can only, basically, when you're in flight, you can't use the walk around mode. You can't use your, basically your grounds, I don't know what you call it, grounds mode, and you can't change the state of the aircraft. And it also, I believe, it doesn't disable the views. You can put your covers on if you really wanted to. As you can see, the cabin's very nicely detailed. It sounds very nice as well. You can turn on these lights, which if it was night time I'll turn them on. So you can open up, close door. Same with that one. So basically all your lights are here. There is some down the back by the door as well. So we've got 8 minutes until we arrive at our next waypoint. So I might just do another cut and then I'll see you guys once we're probably about 2 to 1 minute out from the waypoint. Alright guys, that's Wollongong Airport directly down there. About 1 minute 20 seconds out from reaching that waypoint. As you can see, the autopilot, because it's an old autopilot, it's a bit bumpy. Once you go higher up, it gets quite smoother, but when you're down low, it's bumpy like this, mainly because of the terrain, like the turbulence and that. I found that the default Kingair does this as well. Now we did have some rain back there, those coming under those clouds. So we may get some rain in these clouds as well. Have to see about that. But now we're going to be starting our ILS approach. So we're doing the ILS Zulu approach into runway 21. So hopefully that will go well. So I forgot to turn off the taxi light there. Just noticed that. So here we go. It's a plane up there, as you can see. It's very well modelled. You can see the lights blinking on the aircraft. So we just started our turn there. I'll do another turn. We'll start reducing on the speed just a tiny bit. We're going into IFR conditions here. Looks like we're going to have some rain. So we are going to turn on all the heating. Oh, that's a bad turn into these clouds. Turn our wipers on. Wipers do work, they actually work quite well. Tested them in a massive storm yesterday. Yeah, there is an Xplane bug right now going around that wipers actually don't work at high speed, and we're past that speed right now, and that's why they're not working the best. As you can see, we're doing our turn into ABAS, which then will go into the ILS approach. You can see it's very, very bumpy. But this is the altitude that we have to be at to intercept the localizer. So now I'm going to head here and we're going to activate approach. And I believe we're going to set on to approach mode. Obviously, I'm not the best at using these Garmin panels. So that should be following the approach procedure. Get the wipers nice and folded up. Now, if you're wondering, I do make custom scenery. So I've imported ortho tiles and I'm hand making the scenery, and that's why the airport looks a bit unfinished at the moment. It's powered just a tiny bit. And looks like we've inserted the localizer. Just about. So we should fully intercept it around D320 and Tarog. So as you can see, the details in this plane is amazing. And like I said, I did make this livery. It's not published, so you can't download it. So airport's down there somewhere. Looks like that's rain. It's helpful and not helpful. Yeah, there you go. We got rain. Turn it on the slow. Got the vocalizer now. And so we'll set this to localizer. We should start descending down around this river. Rain's gone away, so we'll turn that off and we'll put it in the park. And we're going to zoom in here just so we can see. Now what we'll do is we'll turn our taxi and landing lights on. We'll put our landing gear down once we pass the river. See, that's the runway down there. So we are on approach mode. Hopefully that's working. So see, it's moving down, so I suspect once that gets to about the middle we'll start descending. I'm still getting used to the autopilot on this thing, it's a bit funky. So we're... how many nautical miles are we? Probably about 5 nautical miles. Reducing speed a tiny bit. You can see it's starting to send me. Drop the landing gear down. Recycle the brakes. Put a bit of power on. Flaps down a notch. Flaps down another notch. That's the turbulence throwing us around. These storm clouds are very, very turbulent. Now we'll disconnect the autopilot here. As you can see, I'm hand flying it and I'm still being thrown around. Reconnect that just for now. Wanted to prove that it's not the autopilot locking up, it's just the turbulence. Now I can start bringing power back a bit more. Don't want to be too fast for landing. Okay, we've got 3 green. Gear flaps lights are set. One thing I haven't set is I haven't set my decision height, which is 700. So we'll just try and do this. There we go, decision height is set. Probably do about 120-ish landing. You know, the Kingair, as soon as you bring the throttle back, it can drop like a brick. I'll try to do my best landing, but I don't want to try float too much just because of the wet runway. I'll probably require more time to stop. That's one thing people actually get wrong about landing. This is real life. You don't try and do the smoothest landing you can, because that can get you killed. Like you see those videos of kids in flight simulators, and they use up about half the runway to try to do a smooth landing, which I used to do the exact same thing. But you want to touch down at the touchdown zone. You don't want it to be too hard, but you don't want to float too much. Okay, that was our 1,000 feet warning. Bring speed back a bit more. Throttle, I should say, not speed. Now I'll disconnect the autopilot at minimum, most likely, or whenever I feel comfortable. Oh, that was my own fault. Accident. We just bumped my rudder pedals. Getting my seat back into position. Get that. So on glide slope, 300 feet until minimums.
Feet to minimums.
You can see, you can barely see the lights down there, but we're on glide slope.
100 feet to minimums. Minimums.
Disconnect autopilot. Here land, runways 3 on glide slope. Got 3 green, flaps set. Everything is how I like it. And well, after we touch down, we'll do the reverse thrust until about 60 to 40 knots. That trim light is basically telling me that I'm currently trimming out the aircraft. So whenever I press the trim, it goes on. That was a good landing. Not the smoothest landing, but the Kingair is made to take an impact. Yeah, you do have to use wheel brakes just a tiny bit. The reverse thrusters aren't too strong. There you go, we'll put flaps up. And we'll taxi off the runway, and then I'll show you guys the replay of that landing from an outside point of view. Won't be the smoothest landing, so I've actually landed this thing quite smooth before. It is what it is. Right guys, we're just pulling in, about to pull into the hangars here. I custom made those hangars. That area is still a work in progress. there's meant to be other hangars on the other side which I haven't made yet, so they're missing. As you can see, that is the storm that we had to fly through. It looks a bit scary from here now that we're on the ground. So, as you can see, with the Kingair just on basically ground fine with the condition levers on low idle, it has enough power just to get moving, but not too much. So you gotta add power now and then. What's this car doing? Also, if you are wondering, this is a gate that's meant to be here. It's a bit glitched at the moment, that's why I can't really fit through it, but real life Kingairs and even big planes, like those planes almost the size of that jet up there, actually go through the gate there because it's a military and civilian airport. And this plane, the livery of this plane, Victor Hotel Lima Alpha Bravo, actually sits in the right hand hangar. It actually sits in that hangar or the hangar on its left. Now if you are wondering why I did not have a video of my landing, it's because my game actually crashed. Because I tried to go into replay mode and Xplane has an issue at the moment where sometimes replay mode bugs out and causes your game to crash, and that happened. So that's why I don't have any footage of the landing from an outside point of view. Bit of a tight turnaround here. See the rain starting again. Looks like we just landed on time. Now we should be able to just use the reverse thrust here to reverse in place. Need to watch out for that. Alright, so we've landed now. Turn off our transponder. Turn off avionics. Turn off that. So it's a good flight. I'm very happy with the Kingair. I don't believe I don't have a checklist to shut the engines down, but I just do this. Just do that. Turn auto start off. Left and right generator off, inverter off. And then turn all of that off now. And that's the aircraft fully shut down. So now what we can do is we can just put all of that back on. And I don't believe I actually showed you this, but if we just remove the shock, then we go to the outside point of view, and I release the parking brake, I attach this, I can actually, and remove the tie downs, of course. So you can push it around. It's a bit wonky. See my brake. Oh, there we go. Takes some time getting used to. Of course, you can leave optional. You can leave the air stairs open if you really want to do. But basically, if I wanted to, I could park it up here and walk it down into the hangar. Which I don't know if any other payware actually has this, so I find it quite neat. Adds a bit of realism to it. It's just nice to push out, like if I wanted to push it and then to a parking spot which I couldn't park in before. And now you can just use this, like if I wanted to bring this over to here, you know, it just adds a bit of realism, and I think it's quite neat that the developers added this. So yeah, overall, I'm actually I'm very, very happy with the aircraft, and I'm glad I bought it, and I think it was well worth the money. Some people say it isn't, but I find that it actually is. Oh, that's it for the review of the Kingair. If you want to buy it, I say go ahead and buy it. It's a very good aircraft. It's made very well. Some people say that there's stuff wrong with it, but I've found nothing wrong with it so far, and I've had it for almost a week now, and I quite like it, and I'm going to keep flying it. So yeah, thanks for everyone that watched, and if you've gotten this far, it might be worth hitting that subscribe button and liking the video. Take sure to turn notifications on. I'll see you guys in the next video. Have a great and safe day and night. See ya.